I recently have played through Fatal Frame 4 for the first time, and considering the upcoming release of Fatal Frame 2 Remake on Nintendo Switch 2, that I decided it was time I went back and played Fatal Frame 5. So these are like the only two Fatal Frame games I've played. This is the only my only experience with the series so far are 4 and 5, which a lot of people would say are the low points of the series. I don't have the experience to say otherwise, but I will say that I have been very, 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 very much enjoying both of them. Fatal Frame 4, I initially came away not liking it. I remember I finished it for the first time like last month and just felt like it was kind of middling and didn't really feel all that scary, and just I just didn't get into it. I actually did another playthrough like not even a month later, and I kind of came away with a different opinion where I felt as if the game really does have very good environment design, very good character writing, very good moments, like a really really good ending. I really really have grown to like Fatal Frame 4 after not really enjoying it much. And going back to Fatal Frame 5, you can clearly see there's a huge improvement. The character models are gorgeous. The ghosts are more well designed. There's better combat mechanics, better mechanics. There's more exploration to do. Characters can actually run now. The cutscene, the direction is better. There's so much to like about Fatal Frame 5 Made in Blackwater that it's very hard to see why this game was so overlooked when it launched as a Wii U exclusive in 2015, because this thing was a really unique title on the platform. A shining example of just how well-rounded and versatile the Wii U actually was. But this game came out and was somewhat ignored. And the same could be said to Fatal Frame 4, but like both of these games are really interesting because they're very, very much unlike other Nintendo published games. Being M-rated horror games and being what they are. It's very interesting, kind of seeing like how radically different they are from each other. Playing Fatal Frame 5, seeing like those environments, exploring the forest, like trying to save these girls, like I have to go to the mountain. Like it's a very big tonal shift from Fatal Frame 4, where, you as Ruka are like navigating the infirmary and trying to like recover your forgotten memories. And, it's interesting because the games are so radically different, and I think objectively that Fatal Frame 5 is way better. But at the same time, I think Fatal Frame 4 is really, really solid in its own right. The more I play 4, the more I realize that I genuinely, really, really, really enjoy it for what it is. People tend to like kind of like consider this the worst Fatal Frame, but playing Fatal Frame 4 and experiencing it and like learning about the characters and all that, like I really enjoy how well implemented the ghosts are with the actual experience. Because as you go through Fatal Frame 4, you'll be seeing like radically different ghosts. You'll be learning more about them. You'll be experiencing all these learning more about like the setting and what happened and the characters and their relationship, and like all of it just feels really well rounded and well written. With 5, like the overarching story is like the worst part of it. Everything else, compared to 5 is like a blatant improvement, from like the visuals, the mechanics, like the ghost design, like the combat, the environments, like the exploration, the trace mechanic, like, everything about 5 is like objectively better than 4, other than like the writing. Because what happens in 5 essentially amounts to like people go missing and you go find them, and then they either die or they go back to the mountain after you save them. It's like it is very, very contrived and very, very forced. And like, even when it first came out, people were kind of clowning on it for being ridiculous. And I really have to kind of like say that like I love Fatal Frame 5, like I love the visuals and I love the tone, I love the setting. But at the same time, like, it can't be denied that the characters and their relationships like should have been more clearly defined. Like I feel that, I was playing Fatal Frame 5 and I felt that Hisoka, Yuri's mentor disappears way too early because you don't have enough time to get attached. You don't have enough time to like see her as a mentor figure. You don't have enough time to kind of like find her, to find their relationship interesting. Like, no, she's just gone. And not only is she gone, like Yuri doesn't seem concerned about her at all. Like she's more interested in like going to the mountain to save rescue random people. So to me, like I think that's a really good indication of just the writing team like not really prioritizing what they should have. Because Yuri is a great protagonist. One of my all-time favorite female video game leads. She's suicidal herself, but she goes into the suicide forest to rescue other people from suicide. It's pretty based. I love that kind of shit. So seeing her like doing her thing is awesome, but at the same time, the circumstances leading up to it don't really make a whole lot of sense. You're supposed to believe that like Hisoka has been missing for days, and like she doesn't think to like go like leave the antique shop and to go to the mountain. And when she does go, she doesn't have a camera obscura. It's like, bro, the ghosts are real. Like it's like, that's my thing about this is that like everyone knows the ghosts are real, and yet they treat them like they're no big deal. You're like, oh, we'll just go. Like it's getting dark. Like, so it's like it's weird because like the ghosts are supposed to be like super taken super seriously, and yet like none of the characters really seem to care about them at all. I don't know. Four kind of has the same problem, but I think it's way better than I think it's way worse than five. I definitely have this weird mindset that this is like some that like everything that happens in this game is kind of contrived, and it's very very unfortunate because there's so much like about five that I really do like. The more I play five, the more I play four, the more I appreciate like the style and the tone, like especially like the character designs. With five, like I feel like it's very it just doesn't come together nearly as well in spite of all of its like technical advancements and all of its like really interesting setup. Like it does a way better job like getting you invested initially, but I think by the end like you kind of have this feeling that it just wasn't that memorable of an experience. And coming back to it after such a long time, it's shocking to me how little I actually remember about the game. Uh, there's definitely some things that stick out in my mind, like specific locations, for example. But for the most part, the game just feels as if it's just not that well like put together, and like it just feels like the ending of five. From what I remember, is not as memorable and engaging as the one for four. Like, I feel like four, throughout its experience, really does a pretty good job building up to the ending, and it really makes Ruka come off like this really cool, interesting protagonist. And with Yuri, I just feel as if like it doesn't really have the same impact because she's a cool character. I like her a lot, but at the same time, like I don't know. Like I almost feel like Miu could have been the protagonist. Like but she does very shockingly little in this game, and it's just it's like I don't know. It's definitely interesting looking back on it and revisiting this game, and I'll definitely have to like kind of revise my thoughts as I play through it. But that's kind of my initial impressions is that like Fatal Frame 5 was way better than people gave it credit for. This was way better than like any of the recent Silent Hill games. This was way better than Resident Evil. This was way better than like anything anyone else in the horror genre has been doing. But again, like so many other Nintendo games, this has been completely understated and ignored. So hopefully at some point the series makes a major comeback. But until that happens, I suppose we're gonna have to deal with these re-releases. So yeah, I am very much looking forward to Fatal Frame 2 remake on Nintendo Switch 2 coming out next year.